So, unbeknownst to them, at least at the beginning, they come to this, place called the Magdalene Inn, and each of the rooms is dedicated to a particular romantic couple.
Hey, everybody, and welcome. I am Morgan Giss McDonald, founder, CEO of Paper Raven Books, and I have with us today a super special guest. She's launching her brand new book, Keys to the Last Resort: Unlock the Magic, Reawaken to Love. Are you ready? And our guest today, author, is also a licensed therapist. She has worked with thousands of people as a personal coach and professional coach in the field of transformation. And she's bringing us some incredible insights to this book and everyone who is enjoying this book, both as a romance, but so much deeper than just a romance. I would love to welcome our author, Licia Rester. Licia, thank you for being here.
Hi, Morgan. Thank you so much. And thank you for that lovely introduction.
Of course, I am so excited about this book. You and I have been working together on this book for quite a while now because it's something a little bit different than people maybe have experienced in kind of the fiction world. And so I'd love for you just to kind of kick us off and tell us, who are we meeting at the beginning of this book and what's happening?
Sure. So, we're meeting at the beginning of the book a couple that's really in trouble. They have a long term marriage, they're empty nesters. And the woman, who is really the protagonist of the story, is really considering separation. And they are going, she decides, she relents. Her husband has created a kind of a surprise weekend for their anniversary, and she decides, okay, I'm just going to do this one last thing, and then I'm going to separate. And so her name is Sylvia, and they're the McAllisters. Her name is Sylvia, and her husband is Carl.
Sylvia and Carl on the precipice of separation,
Yes.
going on a weekend together. Sounds like this could be a tense vacation for them.
Well,
And
it's especially tense because when she sees the place that he bought a room at or rented a room at, she can't stand it. It's exactly the opposite of what she would ever want to spend. She's actually a very high-end executive, marketing executive. She's used to really elegant surroundings. And he has purchased a weekend at the Magdalene Inn, which is a very kitschy, bright pink inn in a remote, dry place in California.
oh my goodness. Well, and we sort of hinted at the beginning that this is not just your average romance novel, right? I mean, it definitely is a romance novel. It is fun, it's lighthearted. You get to sort of walk through these trials and tribulations with them. But can you give us a little bit of that backstory of kind of what's really riding underneath inside of Keys to the Last Resort?
Yeah, I'm going to share a little bit about kind of what inspired me to write this story. So, really, this is in a way, a greatly fictionalized, very magical version of actually what I went through in my own marriage. I was very dissatisfied, and this was before I actually got married. I was in a long term relationship with my boyfriend, very dissatisfied with it. He was a good man. There was, on paper, it looked great, but internally, I was really on the fence for quite a while. And I realized that I needed to shift my relationship of how I was showing up in the relationship. And so I actually created a commitment to myself. And I thought to myself, could I stop judging for 6 months? And that seemed like a radical stretch for me because I was so into judging, 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 critical, critical. And so I thought, I'm going to try this. Anyway, I tried it. At first, it was crazy. It was like Armageddon inside my head. Like, no, I've got to do this. The patterns were really entrenched. But over time, it started lessening. And I noticed like a renaissance really in how I felt about the relationship and the relationship itself. At the end of those 6 months, unbeknownst to me, it was actually Valentine's Day, and my boyfriend proposed and I accepted. And since then, we've had just an extraordinary relationship together. So I was really inspired by this and by the work that I've done with couples as a therapist to really support others in some simple ways that they could improve their relationship. But I didn't want to just write a nonfiction. I've written two other nonfictions. I'm really happy with them, but I wanted something that actually would be fun and inspirational at the same time and motivational. So, what I did was really marry the two sides of my career. My first career was in entertainment, in creating story and things like that. The second half of my career was in supporting people, becoming a therapist, workshop facilitator, transformation leader. And I really married those together and created what I call a self help story. So it's a fiction and it stands on its own as a fiction. It's a fun romp. It's magical. There's a lot of magical realism in it, but also it imparts some principles and lessons that people can utilize to really support them in improving their relationship.
I love this so much. And you and I have had many conversations about this, but sometimes we want to read something that's fun, right? That's the draw of fiction, a little escapism. I don't want to be in my normal life. I don't want to think, deep thoughts. I just want to have a little bit of fun for a few hours and something that really feeds your soul, right?
Yeah.
Inspires you. It's taking you to a good place.
Yes. Yes.
And the self-help story concept is so fantastic because for those of us who we do want to always be improving and making life better and better and having deeper relationships with those around us, and sometimes it's Friday night and we really just want to read a fiction book. We can
Exactly.
both at the same time. And I think that's just a brilliant, entirely new perspective. It's one of those things, like, it's a safe read. You're not going to get blindsided by something that's very violent or graphic or takes you down into a dark tunnel. Going into it, this is going to be something that is edifying and really like good for your soul, and fun at the same time. So I'm so thrilled that you're exploring this kind of self-help story in the romance genre. I did have a question for you, Licia. Would you mind giving us just like a little preview? You mentioned this is magical realism, right? And so we already know that we're at the inn of the Magdalene. Would you give us just a little bit of preview of how you've done this? Maybe walk us through some of these rooms that we get to see our couple travel through.
Yeah, sure. So, unbeknownst to them, at least at the beginning, they come to this, place called the Magdalene Inn, and each of the rooms is dedicated to a particular romantic couple, either from history or from literature or even from the media. So these are popular romantic couples. Obviously, everybody can think of the most obvious ones like Romeo and Juliet and Antony and Cleopatra, et cetera, et cetera. So they actually go to three different rooms of famous couples. And in those, they discover keys to their marriage. And it's very fanciful, lots of magic, and a lot of fun. It was really fun writing it.
That is so cool. So I'm almost imagining now in my head, like the kitschy bed and breakfast, and each room has a theme. And you speak there
Exactly.
all the way. You're like, not only a theme, like we're meeting, Romeo and Juliet and Antony
Right.
and Cleopatra, and a special secret that you'll get to discover. And so they get to go through this whole like very visual adventure. And don't worry, it's romance. We're sticking to the romance genre. There is a happy ending, but it's a bit of a surprise. It's not quite what you would expect. And so you really do an amazing job of kind of keeping us turning the pages and on our toes and guessing what's happening next. And also, we're reassured that by the end of the book, there's going to be a happy ending, and we also, as the reader, are going to be kind of better off for it. So this is just such a win-win. I love this so much, Licia. You guys, if y'all are listening and y'all are like, I'm curious about this book, like this sounds like it might be my kind of book, good news is that because the book is launching, we want to get the book out to as many people as possible. The ebook is on promotion right now. So you can grab a free copy of the ebook, click the link right next to this video, or go to paperravenbooks.com/keys to the last resort. It's long, all one word. Or click the link. It'll take you over to Amazon. There you'll see the ebook. You can, read it in a browser. You can read it on your favorite device, but you can grab it free right now. And if you know someone who you're kind of thinking about them, you're like, oh, they like, romance and self-help and these kinds of themes, tag them in this post. Let them know that they can get a free book. Y'all can chat about it together. If you've got a book club, this would be a really wonderful book for couples or a book club. So I would encourage you to go ahead and grab that now. Click the link next to your video or go to paperravenbooks.com/keys to the last resort, all one word. Grab that ebook for free. So Licia, what was it like to write this book? Because you're blending these two genres. Did you have here are the things I want to make sure that I cover, and here's my plot, for my characters? Can you give us a little insight to kind of that writing process?
Yeah, it was really a fascinating process for me because in order to do it, I really had to create my own story structure that married both what I wanted to convey in terms of principles and lessons with really solid fiction that could stand on its own, that was fun on its own. I didn't want to erode the fiction part of it just to bring in these lessons. I wasn't interested in that. I wanted it to really be strong on both sides. So I developed my own story structure using a sequence that I know works in terms of transformation of an individual. So yeah, so I did that. But really what ultimately happened is that it became so easy. I have been in the past historically a terribly slow writer, a painful writer. And though in nonfiction, I'm fairly fast at it, fiction has always been that kind of big goal that has always been the Himalayas to climb. But what I experienced with this was it was so fast, it was so fun. I never felt writer's block. It was just really actually quite magical. The experience I had of writing it felt as magical as what my characters were going through in a way. So I was able to actually finish it start to finish from page one to final in around 6 months. So that
Wow.
was really fast for me. Other writers are faster than that, but for me, that was very fast compared to 5, 6, 7 years in previous manuscripts.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's an amazing clarity when you know the transformation that your protagonists are going to walk
Exactly.
through and what peaks and valleys and, obstacles they're going to come across, especially because you could pull from your real life experience working with thousands of people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
most of them in some sort of relationship, right? And so
Correct. Yeah.
have all sorts of fodder from real life, and just knowing what that transformational narrative arc is going to be, makes everything so much smoother, both for you the writer and also really for the reader. It feels like we're being guided in
Mm.
a fun kind of ride. So any other thoughts or things that would be helpful for readers as they're about to dive into Keys to the Last Resort?
Gosh, well, if you love magical realism, if you love magical things happening to ordinary contemporary people, that's really what this is about. That has been my delight and what I love to read ever since I was a little girl. And so for me, I think I love that genre of magical realism because when we have the opportunity to drop our own problems, our own inner issues, it really feels like the freedom that we suddenly have and the joy feels very magical. So for me, the act of transformation actually is the true magic that we can have on the planet. And so it's a really fun genre fictionally to work within to really demonstrate or illustrate what we can have as individuals in our own
Yeah.
lives. Yeah.
So good. Folks, if you're here, you're like, sounds like romance, sounds like magic, sounds like positive, inspirational, self-help, like all wrapped up into one fun package, then this is the book for you. And the good news is you can grab a free copy today. So go to paperravenbooks.com/keys to the last resort, all one word, or click the link right next to this video, share it with a friend, share it with a book club, so y'all can all grab a free copy of the ebook today. And of course, the physical book is there too, if you for the physical version. But we do want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and dive in and start reading right away. So go ahead and grab your copy while you're here, while you're thinking about it. And Licia, thank you so much for being here with us to talk about this beautiful book. And we hope that you guys enjoy, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
Bye.
so much. Bye.